guys, and welcome to Motivational Monday. Today I'm going to talk about who is responsible for what. For those who have followed any of the work that I talk about, a big part of it is what we call the thought cycle, and in that we learn what you have in your control and what you don't. And from a really logical point of view, most people get it and they go, yeah, I totally get that. I control this, I don't control that area. Totally get it. But when it comes into putting it into real life, that's where we get really stuck. So that's what I'm talking about today. And I recently read a book called The Dance of Anger by Harriet Lerner. Great book. And it's all about how when what we do is not, our behavior is not congruent with the way we think, anger often is the emotion that comes out. Now, I'm not talking about explosive, anger and all that. That can be, but, anger is in our behavior. And we tend to, in all relationships that we have a pattern. And we stick to the same pattern. We blame and we try to work out who's responsible for what. But at the end of it, in order to change that responsibility or to change the pattern, somebody, which is you, who has that control, needs to take a different step. So when Harriet talks about anger, I love the way she describes over-functioning and under-functioning. So in a really stressful or an anxious situation, often we say, you might take over and you're trying to control the situation and you're bossing everyone around. And you might be told, Natalie, you are so bossy, can you just calm down? Now, in that kind of situation, to be told, calm down, stop being bossy, stop telling everybody what to do, you're not going to get, I wouldn't have thought, such a great reaction. Whereas the way Harriet talks about it, she says you're over-functioning. So in that sort of stressful situation, if I was told, Natalie, you are over-functioning, instantly I know, okay, I am trying to control certain things that maybe I can't control, and I'm in a bit of a panic, so I'm just going to keep going further and further and further. And then she also talks about under-functioning, where people have no responsibility. It's not my fault, I'm not to blame, it's got nothing to do with me, and they take no responsibility. So often you have the over-functioning person trying to control the situation, but it's the same thing. You have the under-functioning person who you might think, what is wrong with them? Why are they not doing anything? They are just sitting. They're more under-functioning. And often in a relationship, this can be in a seesaw. When we are emotionally on the same maturity level, the seesaw just tends to move a little bit. Sometimes a partner might over-function in an area and someone under-functions. But generally, it balances out a bit like a seesaw. But today I'm going to talk about the relationship of parent and child, because this is where often the seesaw, it's really tilted in one area, and it can be either way, but often parents try to overfunction and take control, and we try to control things that aren't necessarily in our control. Like we often try to control what our children are thinking and what they are feeling, and we want them to do certain things. And then we also want them to like it. So we want them, we may set a rule or in the house, and we want them to like it. So we want not only to say, guys, this is what's going to happen. This is the rules, but I want you to like the rules, and I want you to think really good things about the rules, when reality, that just can't happen. So for many of us, there's an underlying belief that when your children are performing well, they're behaving, they're doing well academically, or doing well in the sporting arena, or doing well in the arts area, that it's a reflection on our parenting. And that then there's the flip side. When something goes wrong and when our children aren't behaving the way we would like them to behave and aren't performing as well, it can also be a reflection on our parenting. But like I've just mentioned, that is such a wrong belief, because we cannot control what our children think. We cannot control what our children feel, but we so often try to control that. So we can't control what our children think and how they feel about what's going on. But we can be very consistent, we can be firm, we can control what we will tolerate, the behaviours that we will tolerate in the family environment, in when they leave the family house and go to school and that type of thing. We get to control that side of things. We get to control the punishments that go along and the consequences. That is the area that we can control. We can't make them like the punishment, accept it willingly and be happy about it. We can't make them like the situation, but we can be consistent of what we do. So when I talk about overfunctioning and underfunctioning in the parenting-child relationship, it's like a power struggle. So often parents try to overfunction when it comes to the way their kids feel about certain things. So if they're angry about something, we often try to take control and say, well, you shouldn't be angry. You have no right to be angry. Well, but they do, because it's their choice. We can't control that area for the child. And then often we underfunction when it comes to our responsibility and holding the consequences to what we have set as the rules for the house, and we underfunction. So let me use an example of what I mean, where we try to control what our kids are thinking and feeling. Let's say you have a 14-year-old in the house and you set a rule for when they need to come home. So they need to be home at 9:30. That's your rule, that's what you want. And every time your child goes out, they push the boundaries of that rule. But that's not fair. None of my other friends have to be home at 9 o'clock. None of the other parents follow up. Why are you so demanding on the time? I've never given you any reason not to trust me. And these are the constant, the retaliation to your rule, to the boundaries that you've set your child. Now, we then get angry. We retaliate back with more of anger. Well, it's my rule, my house. This is what I say. Suck it up, like it. This is what's happening. But in reality, when we're dismissing our child's feeling for feeling that the way they want to feel about the rule, they're entitled. They're entitled to hate the rule. They're entitled to feel angry with the rule. You're entitled to stick with the rule. That's what you get to control. You can't control whether your child likes the rule or not. And most times when it comes to home time, what time they have to be home, a lot of kids aren't going to like that rule. But that's okay. So handling that situation is more like, look, I get it, Dal. I can see that you're not happy that curfew is 9 o'clock. I understand that. In my house, the rule is I want you home by 9 o'clock. If you're not home by 9 o'clock, there will be a consequence. You will be grounded, I'll take your phone, whatever your consequence is. By you staying calm in that way, you are acknowledging their feeling. You're acknowledging that I get that you don't like it. And you're not saying, how dare you not like it? You're going, I get you don't like it. Unfortunately, that's my rule. And you can give reasons. The reason I have that rule is I just want you to be safe. That's it. Simple as that. And they can retaliate back, and it's not fair, and no one else does it, and that's okay. You go, I understand that. I accept and I acknowledge that you're angry with the rule. This is my rule, and this is what we're going to stick to. This is where you're not trying to change your child's feeling, because often we want to change the way they feel, and then we actually want them to like it. Well, I want you to like the fact that you have to be home by 9 o'clock. Not many 13, 14, whatever age are going to like that rule, but that's okay. We don't need to change that. We can only control our side of the story and then have the punishment or the consequence if they don't acknowledge and work with the behaviour. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't going to change overnight. They're going to push the boundary and push it and push it. This is where we don't underfunction and we stay consistent. And we stay consistent with the boundaries that we've set. We stay consistent with the rules. We stay consistent at accepting the way they're feeling and the way they're thinking about what's happening. And we listen. We listen without judgment, and we still stick with what we believe is the right thing for our child. We're acknowledging, we're listening, but we still are consistent. So that is who's responsible for what. You are responsible for not over-functioning and trying to control what your children think and feel. You are responsible for not under-functioning and letting the anger or the retaliation of your child, which you're going to get. The thing is we're going to get it. And then when we under-function, we let it all go, and then we are then not congruent with the way we believe, what we think, and our behavior. And when we're not congruent is when we let them come home at 10 o'clock instead of 9, but we're not happy with it. And then that anger builds up and it comes out in another form. So I hope that all makes sense. The over-functioning, under-functioning, and what you have responsibility and what they have responsibility for. Have a fabulous week, and I will speak to you all next week. Bye.